True success is not about winning first. It's about never giving up when things get hard. The crowd was buzzing at Lincoln Middle School's annual sports day in Austin, Texas. Parents filled the bleachers, waving banners and cheering as students lined up on the running track. The final event of the day, the 400-meter race, was about to begin. Among the runners stood Ethan Parker, a quiet 13-year-old boy with messy brown hair and worn-out sneakers. He wasn't the strongest or the fastest. In fact, he had lost every race he had ever entered. But this time Ethan wasn't running to win. He was running to prove something to himself. The whistle blew. The runners shot forward, their shoes pounding against the track. Ethan started strong, his heart thumping with excitement. But within seconds, the others pulled ahead. He could hear their footsteps fade as he fell behind. "Come on, Ethan! Move faster!" shouted one of his classmates from the stands. A few kids laughed, whispering, "He's always last anyway." The sound hurt. His chest burned. His legs ached, and a voice in his head said, "Just stop. It's no use." But then he looked to the bleachers and saw his mom smiling, clapping, and mouthing the words, "You can do it, Ethan." Something inside him stirred. He remembered what she had told him the night before. "Ethan, life is a lot like running. It doesn't matter how fast you go. It matters that you finish what you start." He clenched his fists and kept running. By the time Ethan reached the second curve, he was way behind the others. The winner had already crossed the finish line. The crowd had cheered, and some people were leaving their seats. But Ethan didn't stop. Every step hurt, but he told himself, just one more step, just one more. His breathing grew heavy, his vision blurry, but he kept pushing forward. The stadium had quieted now. Only a few people were still watching. Among them was Coach Stevens, the school's track instructor. When Ethan finally crossed the finish line, he stumbled and fell to his knees. The few who remained began clapping. Coach Stevens rushed to him, helping him stand. "You okay, son?" he asked gently. Ethan nodded, his face red and sweaty. "Yes, sir. I just didn't want to quit." The coach smiled, eyes filled with pride. "That's the spirit of a real athlete, Ethan. Winning is temporary, but finishing, that's forever." The next morning, something surprising happened. When Ethan entered school, everyone in the hallway clapped. Someone had posted a photo of him crossing the finish line with the caption, "The boy who never gave up." From that day on, Ethan became an example at Lincoln Middle School. Teachers spoke about him in morning assemblies. Students stopped teasing and started respecting him. Even kids who once laughed now said, "If Ethan can keep going, so can we." Over the next few months, Ethan began training seriously with Coach Stevens. Every morning before class, he practiced running. Not to become the fastest, but to become better than he was yesterday. One day, during practice, he told his coach, "I don't care if I win the next race. I just want to keep improving." The coach nodded and replied, "That's exactly why you will win someday, Ethan. Because the heart that refuses to quit always finds a way." Spring came, and so did the next sports event. Ethan joined the 400-meter race again. The whistle blew, and he ran with focus, rhythm, and belief. He didn't sprint wildly. He paced himself, remembering all his training. This time, he didn't finish last. He came in third. The crowd erupted with cheers, louder than they had for the first place winner. His mom wiped away tears. His coach smiled proudly, and Ethan grinned as he crossed the finish line. He had done it, not just because he trained harder, but because he refused to give up when it mattered most. That night, as he sat at his desk doing homework, Ethan wrote a note and taped it above his bed. Winners aren't those who never fail. Winners are those who never stop trying. Years later, Idang grew up to become a high school sports coach. He often told his students, "Don't run for medals, run for the lesson." Whenever a student fell or failed, he would share his story of how a boy who always finished last learned the greatest truth about success. Life is not about being the best. It's about being better than you were yesterday. Even when you fall behind, keep going. Because real winners are not the fastest. They're the ones who never stop running. If this story inspired you to never quit, no matter how tough life gets, make sure to subscribe to Motivoons, where every story teaches courage, hope, and the power to keep moving forward.